If I open this door, the theologists will kill themselves. And those who have created the false path of beliefs in different names will move forever to move their souls from this planet, as they know how they have abused the man. The understanding of the totality of the knowledge of the creation is not to be able to fly. Is to be able to understand the strength, the knowledge of the fields of the Creator. What has led to my creation, where has it come from? That field, that light. And what led to creation of that light? And what was the origin? This is not theology. This is understanding the physical process of the creation, but without imagination. Understanding the science, which means understanding how things interacted that led to, in a way, we call it chemistry. But in a way, we talk about the chemistry of the fields, which led to the creation of the Creator. But one point is, where did that field come from that led to the creation of him? That the interaction of the field of him led to the creation of us. Or are we all passengers of the motion of the fields in different strengths and dimensions within the same ray, in the same cylindrical motion? But there is one fact, that where did this ray come from? And where is it going to? That at this moment of time, as it's moving in the span of its own creation of environment, we are passengers of the physicality in one spot of, within that, the structure of the motion from one point to another. In a way, I hit this in the teachings in the books. I say, very simply, the scientists of today, they tell us that the universe is expanding. It cannot expand if there was not something for it to expand into, and something to expand into to confirm its own existence. In a way, you cannot blow a balloon if there is no room for it to blow into. You have to create a room that you can blow that air into the balloon, that it confirms existence and its volume. So our universe is the same, but we are travelers of the dimension of the motion of the fields of the universe that came from and is going somewhere, that is interacting with another ray, that the existence of the two creates the light of the Creator. That light of Creator becomes us to be created of. Mankind has to open its eyes and spend more time in understanding the process of his creation, and how he can have everything without destroying, without killing, without, in a way, disintegrating what has been integrated for life to exist. Writing of the promised one. Even a soul has a existence, and it can be in any dominion. You found it in the stone, in the lion, in the physicality of the man, and in existence in all other dominions in the universe. Be it from planet Zeus, planet Mars, from this universe or other universes. A collection of interaction of the fields to confirm their existence, we call it the soul. The creation of the heartbeat confirms the aliveness of it, that it exists and is operating to attract. Every heartbeat is an interaction of the gravity and the magnetical field. And when you give it a rhythm, it's a pump which absorbs the field of the universe according to the strength of the soul. Soul of a stone, soul of an atom, the soul of an electron, the soul of the Creator, be it the soul of the man. The knowledge of the new space technology is to understand the measure, the strength of the heartbeat, and what is beating, what is created that beat, what is coming in to create that beat, and what is given out to keep that beat at a constant rate to be there. So in the new space technology after coming up in China, we are not looking to create fuels. We search to understand the heartbeat and what that heartbeat brings and what it gives, that become planet Mars, become the soul of the man, or the physicality of man in the soul of his creation. The knowledge of the universe is very simple. Is man, by not understanding it, has made it so complicated, and then has put value on different measures of the strength, the gold, the love, the food, and most of all, the creator. And how we have become to compartmentalize. This compartment is for this, that compartment is for that, and I want to live within the limitation of which compartment. I made man in the image of myself. In a way, you can appear in any shape or form, but at the end, you are only conditioned to the manifestation of position of the environmental field strength, and nothing else, even the creator himself. As I said once, is the creator and the general in the army of the generals of the creation, and even these and their interaction, does it lead to confirmation of the true essence of creator? Are we, in totality of all the universes and unicosmos we see, a cell on the skin of the toe of the creator? Or are we sitting within the center of the soul of the creator, as I feel the strength and dimension and dominion? As I have hidden so many new technologies in the simple ways that mankind can move into, will develop technologies that mankind will gradually, over time, will understand this process. And the same, this process. Ask yourself a very simple question. I put this before to scientists. Doesn't mean that the less surface you have, the less you can radiate to become the giver. And then, if that's true, what is the size of the creator? If the man sees himself generous and he calls himself philanthropist by giving a few pieces of his plastic paper to someone to have a food, and he thinks he's very generous. Or is the reality in a simple way, the smaller you become, you become so much that you become such a giver. Not to hold on to, but to give out to. That was or is it this, the knowledge of the creation of the man? Calling the man the creator, as he said, I made man in the image of myself, even me being the man. Now you know why we are amongst you, to teach you to become part of the understanding of the totality, not to wield the rock of the man and to become the kings and the rules of nothing. My simple life and the way I live is the beauty of the strength of the knowledge I have, that I know how to manifest myself in one dimension, in one presentation, and in presence of who. And would let the man to make a fool of himself, call themselves a king, a clown, thinking he is the king. In so many ways, the knowledge of the creator becomes from now on the wisdom of the man, with no position and no possession. The more you know, the more you share, the more humble you become, that you can share that your knowledge, which is the energy of the creator in its interaction with the soul of another man, becomes the light of another soul, to be elevated, to get closer in that process, to give more from itself without holding on to. In so many ways, mankind needs to understand what kind of man he wants to be. As he said, I made man in the image of myself. What image man wants to have, to be the reflection of the light of the creator. In so many ways, we learn more, we understand more, we deliver more knowledge according to the understanding of the man. And I hope these teachings brings you to the point to be able to understand the work of your own soul and nothing else. And we have given you the tools, we have given you the structures to do. You played with nano coating, you played with cancers, you played with air filters, you played with everything else. But in essence, where does all that come from? And where am I leading you to? To become part of the creator, or be happy to be a walker in the mountains of the no man land, in the dimension of the land of the universe and universe. One day you'll find your way to the creator, and one day mankind might become wise to understand this. And the only understanding is be for the man alone and nobody else.
And now I will come back to my question. So, God is source of light, energy, and intelligence of the universe. God is consciousness. And I'd like also the second question to see and to be enlightened by you, if it's possible, to see what is the link between energy and light, but not in the way of Einstein stated, in your own way. Thank you very much. And God bless all of China people, and especially Mr. Keshe.
In the new plasma technology, we explain energy in a simple way as magnetic fields in motion. And if you understand this and understand the totality of the creation, is as the fields of the creator moves in the span of the universe in its interaction and in motion, it releases energies and fields that in certain environment leads to creation of man or other lives across the universe. So in a way, we are created from the motion of the light of the creator. And this is the essence of the creation. If you explain energy as a fields in motion, then that energy is our body. We are energy, we move. So in a way, from the motion of the field of the creator, leading and being the essence, the creation of energy, we are part of it. So we manifest according to time and position and place in different shape or form as different creatures of the creator. Any other question?
Thank you very much.
The thing is now, if you, for example, buy the air enhancement unit, you should receive a loose piece, an item. And we ask you to position this item on the wall or something opposite to the unit. You understand? That this creates the dynamic motion continuous of the room. Because we have to test, when we make a claim, we have to test the system. And we have systems, we have measuring tools that if you read literature about negative oxygen ions, they say over 10,000 is what you call beneficial. In doing and using the systems, even some people buy 2 units facing each other, we have tested in rooms will reach 20,000 balance. And so we measure things, we have what we call, we buy the tools to measure. That what we say something is struggles within conformity of the what we call legislation and the rules. So you have the usual normal room, maybe how we have tested in normal rooms between 300 to 400 negative ions. With this, the literature says anything over 10,000 is highly beneficial. We reach 20,000. I don't like to go over 20 because it's a shock absorber position. And we test it. So it's not a secret. We have developed technologies in the back of technologies, which we reach to this point. And we can hold it. Wang Ling can tell you when the first time our technology was used in China with the Chinese military and security and scientists who were in that meeting. Wang Ling, are you in the background? You can tell when they were asked us for dinner.
Yes, they use that for the paint.
Yeah.
And they say even a lot of people smoking in that room, but you didn't feel the smoking, and
You didn't see it.
Yeah, and it's clear air, and even they say they can have the balance like a temperature. Like even they say in the winter they didn't feel cold, and we had a hot pot there.
Yeah, you can imagine how many 10, 20 high, what you call it, powerful people, all Chinese, all military, all smoking, plus the hot pot, which is a pot which is all of hot water, you cook your own food in it. The steam and the smoke had no effect, you couldn't even smell it. Because the gentleman who organized the dinner, he got up and he said, now you see, you're all smoking, and no smell and no odor and no smoke. We were innocently invited to a dinner, and then our technology was shown to the people who are, and that led the company to sell this paint now to the Chinese army. It's used by the military because there is a rule in China, my Ming can tell you, products which is used by army can only be manufactured in China. Chinese army doesn't use any outside technologies or materials for their forces. Am I correct? Are you there, Wang Li?
Yes, like have to be Chinese produced. Yeah.
So when you buy the paint, when you buy these new, we call enhancement units for air or whatever, you can, they're all connected in the structure, because if you paint one wall with one of the gases, the paint, and then you put the air enhancement unit on the other side, you get much bigger effect. Any other question? So the pen material is not secret, it's just development of technologies that we pursue, and we try to make it better each time.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. We have a question from Paulo, who's put it in both the YouTube and in our Q&A here in the Zoom. So I will say it as it is. It's it perhaps has some poetry to it, but let me just say, he says, immutability is in mutality as mutality is in immutability. Please tell us what has been immutable in the divine plan since before creation.
Now, can you ask him to explain what he means?
I think we might have to.
You see, interaction of the fields does not have any pre-plan. Creator never planned to create mankind. Mankind is created out of interaction of accidental interaction of the fields. The same, you can see the example of it. You put an egg and millions of sperms, and one accidentally manages to penetrate, and that accident leads to creation of a new life. What the color of the eye is going to be, what the shape of the lips is going to be, what the hair is going to be, is the coincidence of the interaction of the fields in those two pictures when they came together. There is something very interesting. Maybe we can talk about it now that you're a little bit wiser. The children of the soul will have the feature of the creator. In essence of not physical dimension, but in the presence of the soul. Because they don't take the dimension of the physicality, but they take a dimension of the best fields of the universe. What is to be collective? So we are not connected only to the fields of the man in the DNA, but we are connected to the field of the universe, because the soul is made of it. And I said that very recently, and I emphasize on it because those who don't understand will come to understand even by the position of the souls. And somebody asked me, it's just that you don't explain completely. Adultery become impossible because the fields you have chosen to create that soul have already positioned themselves to the satisfaction of the soul of the both parents, that the life of that child becomes so important and so sacrosanct that no man, no woman would make a mistake to endanger that position, because the soul will not allow it. The children of the soul of the Creator is not just the soul of the man. They never make mistakes. Even in the dimension of physicality might look this mistake, but when the soul accepts to create that soul of the child, it means everything to do with its existence is already been structured. It's that magnet which is put in, and everything has taken shape and position that it can lead to creation. So, in so many ways, the dimension of the physicality, the pitfalls with dimension of physicality becomes impossible. Man will not make love the way you do physically. You make love with the souls, you make love with the fields. Physical interaction, the way man is used to it, it becomes history, because the beauty of the creation, love making, the way God, do you make love to God? No, but the love of God is with you, and He always shouts. We will love each other as a twin souls in a different way. We create the children of the souls in a different way, and is a commitment for the cycle of the life of not only that soul, but the souls which are created from it in the future as it matures. Has the love of the Creator has been any different to your grandfather, your father, to you, or your grandchild? No. And this is what mankind has to understand. Even you might have a desire to be adulterous, your physicality will not take that step, because the soul does not allow it. And those who take that step to push it will pay with the loss, the lose of soul, the physical soul from their physicality, because it will not commit that crime. Man will still understand. The soul of physicality will decide to leave the position of the interaction with the physical life, as he will not damage the soul of the man, because he has to find a new position. It's already agreed in the position, because this is the best for the life. And this will come hard to a lot of man thinking way of life. And those who push to create a connection, they will lose the position and the control of the soul of physicality, and then you have the consequences with the dimension of physical life. This is not the fear anymore. This is understanding the process. Thou shalt not commit crime. Not from now on, not in the presence of Mitra. As Mitra is there, and his fields and his existence to show to the love to the Creator, and it cannot be tainted. We'll teach you more about this in a coming time, and we give you examples. You remember the story of what Christ said? You will deny me 3 times by the time the animal sings. This time that singing comes from the soul of the physicality of the man, and there shall be no betrayal. You will learn the cycle of new life is the same in the space as is on this planet. We don't have churches and we don't have wedding ceremonies, but the souls commit themselves in that direction and dimension. Those who try to betray, they pay by themselves in the dimension of the soul. And then what happens to physicality is in the soul. Any other question?
Yes, indeed. We have several more. You have a thing from Antonio who mentions he's now using the enhancement pain pen and has found the results on my trigger finger has improved 100%, where I'm not in pain now. Thank you again. And he has a question.
Can we send a bill for the effect? Now we sold the material.
It's an interesting question, actually.
That payment comes through the soul. When you bless and you thank, you're already given from your soul for elevation of the knowledge. So there is no second bill. You remember the old song? The boy says, Mama cleaned my room, $1. I did this, $2. And at the end, it says the total is $11, I think. And the mother says, I cleaned you. I taught you. I stay many nights awake. My bill for you is nothing. Just love.
So, and Antonio does mention Professor Keshe. This is great news to see the manufacturing set up in China. Looking forward to the breakthrough of this beautiful technology into the mainstream. Thank you so much for the hard work, and to Wanyan in China. Then he does have a question. He says, is each magnetical ray emanating from one plasma of a different strength? Is each magnetical ray emanating from one plasma of a different strength? He says, why I'm asking is that the entire universe can be reached from one small plasma, and would this mean it is within itself a combination of everything?
More or less, yes. Because it's connected to a source which has all of it. And itself in that spectrum and the position is always in balance with the source. It just depends what the strength of the gravity and what the strength of magnetic field it has in respect to the source. But in total, the balance is always the same.
He says he will give a donation. Thank you. Fried mentions, dear Mr. Keshe, you hid certain secrets in the books. How is this then kept in translations in other languages?
I always said, you have to understand what I said, what I'm saying. First of all, English is not my first language. And secondly, if you really want to understand the true essence, the way I wrote, read book edition number 1. Book edition number 2 is adjusted for English people to understand by editor. The pure original is the edition 1 and edition 1 in all 3 books before being touched by the editor. But I always said, even is translated the wrong way, and even is written in the wrong way as an English language, because it's not my mother language in a way, even I lived in England for so many years. The knowledge you receive and what you gather from it and how you use it is that knowledge which is put for the soul of you to be able to understand it. As I said, even if you told somehow to make the nano coating the wrong way, there's a reason for it, because through that you achieve what you want. There's no ever wrong thing in the world of the creation. It's just what you expect from it and what you want to achieve. And even you achieve and you don't see it, you say it's wrong, but in fact, actually, you've got the right idea. The soul has reached its maturity of understanding that point. So it doesn't matter. It's really translated into Spanish, and instead of saying right, it says left, because in Spanish left, right is the left or the right, but when you read it, your soul understands the knowledge. This is the knowledge of the creation, not a book written as a, what do you call it? A transfer of what I call some words. Any other questions?
Okay, I just see here. We have Marinez with a hand up. Go ahead, Marinez.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Mr. Keshe. Hello, knowledge seekers all over the world. I congratulate you for, again, having more steps toward world peace instead in exchange with technology. And I'm happy that you are glad about that. And I bless all the Chinese knowledge seekers, the Chinese people who accepted this safe place for technology, and which this country, this old country, has contributed in philosophical way and their way of life to humanity, hard work people, and I bless everybody in the whole village of the earth, any color, any race, any nation, any religion that contributes to peace on earth, and especially the technology in exchange for peace. I give all my blessing to them, and especially to you from my heart. And my question, I have a question. First of all, thank you for this beautiful, delicious teaching. And I hope that's a step towards teaching people, all of us in the same boat, to see beyond the material limits and understand that between what's not visible and what's visible, there's still life going on, and we can go further to realize by thinking about what you said and feeling the feels. And the question I have is, I didn't write my question, but I was in the park. I think you said that wherever we are in each position, we can get in touch with that place we want to be or to contact. And I wanted to ask, did you mean by our emotional force fields, by our soul fields, both of them? Because there is a nuance, it's a small difference. How could I contact another planet, my father? So I have some experience about that, but is it by my emotion or by my soul?
Now you're an old hand in Keshe Foundation. How does the emotion, how is emotion created? Emotion is created from interaction of the field of the soul of the man.
Yes.
With the soul of physicality, so you answer yourself.
Exactly. Okay.
Yeah, it's very interesting. You're welcome. It's very interesting. Sometimes now, and some 30, 40 years ago, when we walk in the street, we used to see people who talking to themselves. They used to laugh, they used to shout sometimes. We used to call them crazy. They're talking to themselves. But the interesting thing is, with this new technology of mobile phone, you all become crazy. You all have this hidden earphones in your pocket, in your ear, and you're passing and you say, oh my God, oh, and they laugh on it. They say the guy's crazy, he's talking to himself. And then you look, oh, it's become normal for all of us to be crazy, because now we carry the soul of the phone in our ears. Have we become schizophrenic, or now we have started listening to another voice, which is real? And now mankind has to listen to the real voice of the soul of the man inside him, not the earpiece in his ear. And this is what the teachings are. And then when you walk in the park and you suddenly have no earphone and you laugh, or you remember walk this park, or is what you wanted to tell to your son, but he's not there, but you tell him a joke and he laughs and it makes you to smile, and you hear what he answers you, because now, have you ever thought for a second, you're walking and you talk to, or you think about telling somebody something, and then you imagine the answer, and then you answer to that, the question, or they have another question, you answer, or he asked me this, I'm going to tell him that. But did you ask yourself a question that what he was going to ask? Or is it his soul in touch with your soul? He puts the question to you, that you came up with the answer. So in fact, what we call the dream, and now we give question and answers, or we solve a problem with somebody who's not present. Is it us who's doing the thinking, or is it our soul in touch with their soul solving the problem inside your brain? And you feel differently, or you show different emotion of laughter. Oh, he tells you a joke, or oh, you're a stupid man, this doesn't work that way. But there's nobody with you. Where did the knowledge come from? Where did the question come from? Is it the creation of your brain? Or is it the question, the interaction of your soul with his soul, where he asks you a question and you answer it? And oh, I found the solution. Does he have to be present? Or like the way you dream, you see the image, you hear the voice, but now is what we think we're talking to our son or to our friend who's in another country or is at home. I go home and I tell him this is done wrong. And then you ask question, how did they do wrong? What did I do wrong? You prepare all the answer and questions. Other questions put by his soul to your soul, and you answer him. And whether you find a solution, or you find to dictate, to get a position, make a position for yourself when you get home to your son or to your wife. Next time, when you think, or you carry an emotion, or you're answering somebody's question, or what it might be done, ask yourself one question. Is it the soul who's putting the question to me as I directed my attention towards it? Or is it the creation of my own imagination of the question? And I'll tell you one thing, when a man knowledgeable become knowledgeable enough, you'll find out you were talking to the soul. This is what is part of the process of the understanding of the new science, the science of creation. How come you call the other one I had a dream? Now you speak to the soul directly and you get your answers, and it's not a dream anymore. Because you think it was you. But in fact, it's not you anymore. You do not exist.
Thanks for this knowledge. And another question is, if you permit, like we were talking yesterday with knowledge seekers, when there is a question of detachment, I feel there is a gap between detachment and the fear of what is going on after. And we don't.
Why do you have a fear with detachment?
Because they think they have to give it all away, like Jesus said. And I told them it's a question of having the money doesn't matter. We can have all the money, but as you said, we don't depend on that. We don't trust on that. We don't put all the force and aspiration on that, and we say we can do what we want with our hands, create what we want as riches, and put this trust on emotion and soul, which gives us much more in power and field and creation and liberate us. So we lose here, but we gain in power and liberty and joy. I think this teaching of today was a bridge for this matter, I think, to start thinking. And if you, yes. If you permit the last one, in the day before yesterday, again in another teaching, at the end I talked about the earth, which is suffering from whatever is going on the surface. If we imagine that the earth is a plasma, and the plasma has emotion, has soul, as we have seen with the plants. So the earth is related with the plasma emotion of individuals, the souls of people on the surface, the animals and plants on the surface. So if the people have bad emotion, are sad, are crying, are not in a good, happy way, so the earth emotion has to be affected by that, or maybe the soul of the sun or the moon. So this soul, this emotion of the earth, would that erupt and react to this non-satisfaction and hunger of a non-satisfaction of its emotion. And that's what we say, there are catastrophes at the judgment day or whatever in the whatever.
Maybe I can answer you in a different way. We don't see Earth moving and jumping and moving and changing direction, or going slower or going faster. Doesn't matter if we had the Second World War, millions of people were dying, or we had the peaceful time of the Emperor of Persia, where every nation was at peace, more or less. In the average, well, not the average, but the collective average sense of the emotion of the life on this planet is always in balance. It's us who brings certain emotions, and it's us who brings certain directions. In in so many ways, in totality, the emotion of the ant, the dog, the man, the trees, always are in balance when it comes to the field balance of the emotion of the heartbeat of the planet, because we are created out of that heartbeat. And in so many ways, if we introduce another heartbeat to it, we'll create a different condition and different position. So the soul of this planet does not change because somebody is in pain, because the totality of all affects that position and dimension. And I used to explain this in a very simple way, that people used to do the rain dance, and they used to sacrifice a virgin to end the droughts and everything. Did it happen actually with a dance, or did it happen because of the soul of the sacrifice entity reached the point that brought the emotion of the people who did the sacrification? And this is very touchy, very amazing if you've done a lot of tests with the dynamic reactors. And then you understand the energy stands always total balance. The conservation of magnetic fields is very much the same as conservation of the energy. It's just that which constants and which bits of it you want to ignore, that only elevates what you want to prove. Assumptions. And we see many scientists, their work is all an assumption because they want to prove one thing, that they are correct and they thought of it. Everything else doesn't exist. The equation of relativity is one of them. The speed of light, M is called C is called what you call the speed of light, is another assumption. When Einstein started it, it was so big, but he wanted to connect the energy to speed of light. And he made a lot of assumptions, and he took all those, everything which could change to this simple equation is all ignored, and that's why half of the science has gone wrong. E equal mc squared was, if you look at it when he started it, was a very long equation. He just said, ignore assumption, assume this, assume that, to get to this point. The guy should have said, well, this is what I'm going to say, and that's it. It's for you to make assumptions. And this is the way we teach. We give you all the facts, now you go and make your own assumptions, how it fits you.
Yes, thank you for this. And the last one, but now that you're talking about the animals, like if we assume that a grain, I don't want to talk the animals because we know they have soul, and that we eat. And if we imagine that a grain of rice or wheat has a soul, and then we fabricate
We don't
it.
need to imagine, it has.
No, of course, we know. And it has a soul and we eat it. Does it, and we know everything comes from the light and everything from the source and goes back to the source. So this also goes back. What I wanted to ask is, as it's the custom, it used to be a custom that people prayed for this grain we eat, thank it. Does it help to have the soul of that grain to go to the source with the happy residues of his souls? And also for the animals, like praying for them, like giving from our heart and soul, thank them, to wish them the happy life, happy existing, and love to accompany this sacrifice food in exchange for our profit, to get energy from them while we are waiting to have the plasma food, the plasma technology food, not killing anything.
We pray for becoming close or to reach to what, thank God or the Creator for what He gives us. We pray to the animals that we slaughter, as you've been to the Islamic slaughterhouses and the Jewish one. There is a tape continuously saying the prayer of, slaughter, whatever. But if it was a man saying it, we pray to it the true way, not by the microphone or by the speaker. Does that bring to the point that when we take a spoon of rice and there are 200 grains in it, we pray for every single grain. I think we spend all our life praying and thanking the souls. By the time we are 80, before we thank enough the whole plate of rice we eat. And the reality is we have to be thankful or prayerful to the totality of what this planet gives us and understand it, and what comes from the field of the universe to create and sustain life on this planet. Then do we pray for a soul of one lamb when we slaughter it, or do we pray for every soul of grain we chew? Eating, killing, the separation of the soul of physicality and soul of any entity from each other by what we call separation of the two, or by death, unless it's done naturally, is forbidden. Man shall not eat anymore to destroy the soul of the grain, as much as man shall not eat to kill an animal who has one soul, collective soul, for the presentation of his life. This is whole part of the work of the new technology. When we go to the understanding of traveling the depth of this universe with the speed of man, we cannot take all the camels, all the kettles, and all the cutlery. Man has to learn to eat with the, what I call, fields of his soul, and what is available, which is plenty in the space. And then we don't kill. We don't need to say in prayer, because it comes from the strength of the field of the universe and the Creator. Shall we call it a day? Thank you very much. Do you have anything more in the background?
I was hoping you might put a quick word in for Bente about the topic of dilution, of plasma dilution, and how do you dilute a plasma as a, especially in terms of the initial fundamental plasma that might be magnetically diluted and softened, as you mentioned before.
This is part of the teaching to come. We don't dilute the plasma. You open the plasma.
Is that the dilution process? Is that opening? Is that what's meant?
We call yes, yes. I think somewhere we refer to the spring in the clock. The spring is still a spring, but it depends how much you tighten it and what energy you store in it, and where, to what level do you want to open at the spring.
Now, it occurred to me just a few minutes ago that perhaps that dilution factor is equal to detachment in a way, because
Not really.
when we detach, we open up. We feel like we're opening up because we let go of whatever emotional problem or situation.
Okay.
Isn't that a dilution when you feel that opening, that release of?
Okay, let me explain it in a material world. You put a spoon of sugar in a cup of tea. It gets diluted. If you, before you put the sugar in, half the amount of the water, and still put the same amount of sugar in it, will it taste sweeter? Or in reality, is it sweet without measuring the level of sweetness?
Right.
You understand? If you get a spring of a clock, which I always explain is the same as the plasma, how much you tighten that spring, it gives you the energy stored. Does it actually change the structure of the spring? These are the fundamental points when you speak about dilution. In the plasma physics, we don't dilute. We create a condition for different strength of the field of the same entity to manifest itself. Plasma does not have a water to dilute it, doesn't have a sweetness to taste the sugar of it, the extent of the sugar in it. It has a field strength, which is the point of its interaction. So dilution does not exist. Creating the field strength that the fields within the structure manifests itself to satisfaction of the observer. That's what you call dilution in plasma physics.
Okay, thank you very much for that bonus question there. Bonus answer.
Bonus answer. Thank you very much for today. I hope we brought you in good news today. We brought the start of another point of evolution. As I said, the international operation of the Keshe Foundation is in the hand of the knowledge seekers in different shape or form. And in so many ways, as I explained in another teaching, if you want to keep us away from the hand of the governments that dictate to us that we can spread the knowledge and how we spread the knowledge, now you see in this position in China, we need donations to set this company up, to equip it, to keep everything else with it going. I have financed for a long time. I keep on financing it, but it needs huge amount of effort from the knowledge seekers, both financially and physically, and especially Chinese and the knowledge seekers who want to see their idea to be developed into practical ways that can help the other people. So we request from the Keshe Foundation knowledge seekers worldwide, become philanthropists by your time, by your research, that we can develop what you have researched. You don't need to be in China, or financially to be able to do the last step in creating these kind of facilities to become operational. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to the Chinese team for all the hard effort and work. And finally, bringing this home, thanks the same with the other knowledge seekers around the world who are working the same way. We all work on our own ways and our own deeds. And hopefully we'll see a new horizon for the foundation time. Thank you very much, Rick. Thank you very much, Dean. And hopefully we meet each other for 382nd time next week.
Mr. Keshe, may I interject one more quick thing here? We're talking about these international places for people to meet, for scientists to meet, and for various countries to take their roles in this way for international peace and for developing the technology.
It's time for change.
Nadszedł czas zmiany, przejścia do prawdziwego działania wszechświata.
And it's time to
I
understand
nadszedł czas, aby zrozumieć, że używamy stanu materii,
to reach
by osiągnąć poziom zrozumienia duszy człowieka.
of the soul of the man. Now you understand maybe
Teraz rozumiesz, być może, dlaczego Kreator
Creator has sent his messengers
wysłał
to
swoich
whatever
posłańców
you have
w imię tego, co miałeś.
is that
To
they
oni przynoszą
bring
uszy,
the ears, that it can be
aby
used
można było ich
when the
użyć,
time of the
gdy
Messiah
nadejdzie czas
comes.
Mesjasza.
They can teach the soul and the
Mogę
message,
nauczyć duszę i przesłanie,
not to oppose.
nie by się
But
przeciwstawiać,
by them
ale poprzez ich
understanding
zrozumienie
those who have
przez
become
tych,
messiahs
którzy stali się
to give from their
Mesjaszami,
souls to these
aby
to
dawać ze
elevate.
swoich dusz, aby ich elewować.
The job is made.
Zadanie stało się łatwe.
The school is there.
Szkoła
The
jest tutaj
students
i
are
uczniowie są tutaj w oddaniu.
there. There won't be any
Wtedy nie
fight
będzie żadnej
between
walki
what they call the
między tym, co
Muslims
nazywają
and Christians.
muzułmanami a
The
chrześcijanami.
lamb and the lion
Baranek i lew będą jeść i spać w tym samym gnieździe.
the Christians and the
Chrześcijanie i
Muslims
muzułmanie
will sleep
będą
and pray
spać
in
i
the
modlić się
mosque
w meczecie,
and the same
w tym samym
church
kościele,
in the name of
w imię
their
ich
souls,
dusz,
not in the
nie w
name
imię
of
religii,
that is used
które są
in
używane do
such
tworzenia tak wielu konfliktów,
for the benefit of
dla korzyści
those
tych,
who are
którzy byli
hyperactive
hiperaktywnymi dziećmi.
children. The time has come.
Nadszedł
The time
czas,
of change is
czas
here.
zmian jest tutaj.
And as I said,
I jak powiedziałem, moje życzenie jest moim rozkazem.
if it's your wish
Jeśli
to
pragniesz
see
ujrzeć pokój, droga pokoju jest wyłożona bardzo wyraźnie.
the soul
To
of
dusza świadomości
collective
zbiorowej.
awareness by
Poprzez
giving
dawanie
or
stworzy
creating
tą
that
pozycję
position of
zmiany.
change. No,
Nic innego.
there is no
W duszy
pen
człowieka
in the
nie ma
soul of the
długopisu.
man. And I'm
Jestem
sure
pewien,
once
że
you
po
go
wejściu
into
do
the
społeczności
universe,
uniwersalnej
you will
nigdy nie
never see
zobaczysz
anything
niczego
written,
zapisanego,
but
ale
the
równowagę
balance of the
pól
universe
duszy
is full of
egzystencji.
the existence. Try to be humble
Staraj
enough
się być na tyle pokornym,
not to become
aby nie
arrogant
stać się
in the
aroganckim
power
w
that
mocy,
you have understood and
którą
you
zrozumiałeś i posiadłeś.
otherwise you'll fall
Inaczej
in the same
wpadniesz w tą
path
samą
of the
ścieżkę
church.
kościoła i meczetu.
This
To
is
jest to, co
what we
obiecaliśmy
promised.
i to właśnie dostarczyliśmy.
This is what we have delivered. We have to understand
Musimy
the
zrozumieć
operation of the
działanie
soul,
duszy
and we have to
i
understand
musimy
the soul of
zrozumieć,
the man
że
is
dusza
a
człowieka
star
jest gwiazdą
in the
w kosmosie
cosmos
wszechświata.
of the universe. If we
Jeśli
compare
porównamy
the soul of the man
duszę człowieka i tak wielu
and
nas,
many of us,
7 miliardów w jednym zbiorze,
population, Earth is like a galaxy.
Ziemia jest jak galaktyka
So many
z tak
stars.
wieloma gwiazdami.
When we look in the depth
Kiedy
of the
patrzymy w
universe,
głąb
we see
wszechświata,
galaxies with
widzimy
hundreds of
galaktyki z
billions of
setkami
stars.
milionów gwiazd.
So is the
Podobnie
planet
jest z
Earth.
planetą Ziemią.
Carries
Niesie 7
billion
miliardów
beautiful
pięknych
stars
gwiazd,
which are the
które
soul
są
of the
duszą człowieka.
carries
Niesie z
with
sobą
it
duszę
so-
tak
so
wielu
many
trylionów
trillions
zwierząt,
of
roślin
animals,
i
plants,
wszystkiego
and
innego.
animals. So
Jeśli
if you
więc
look,
patrzą ci,
when someone who does
którzy
not
nie
see
widzą
the
fizyczności
physicality
Ziemi
of the earth and its
i jej
contents,
zawartości,
what do
co
they see?
widzą?
They see a
Widzą
galaxy.
galaktykę z wielką
So
ilością
many
pięknych,
beautiful
świecących
lights
świateł,
Each one
każda według
according to
swojej
their
siły,
strength. Each
każda
one
zgodnie ze
according
swoją
to their
pozycją.
position. An infant,
Niemowlę ma piękną duszę,
so has
podobnie
the
jak staruszek.
To those
Dla
who
tych
do not see the
niefizycznych,
physical
którzy nie widzą
dimension of this
fizycznego
planet,
wymiaru tej planety,
but they see the
ale widzą
strength of
siłę
the fields,
pola,
we are a
jesteśmy
cosmos
gromadami
of
gwiazd.
stars. The human race,
Ludzka rasa, każda
every
pojedyncza
single
dusza,
soul, no one
nikt z
from a
daleka nie
distance
widzi.
sees, that's
To
the
jest
soul
dusza
of the
rybaka,
fisherman, that's the
to
soul
jest
of
dusza
the
kosmologa,
scientist, that's
to
the
jest
soul of
dusza
the president.
prezydenta.
They all shine.
Wszystkie świecą bez względu na fizyczność.
This is
To
the
jest
magic.
magia.
This is what the
Oto co
new
nowa
science
nauka
has
musi
to
przynieść
bring to man.
człowiekowi.
When
Kiedy
we
patrzymy
look
przez
to
naszą
our
duszę,
soul, we see nothing but
widzimy tylko
the
gwiazdy w
star
innych
and
duszach.
stars. And
I
this
to
is
jest
the
przełom.
break. This
To
is
jest
the
zrozumienie.
understanding. This is
Na
what
tym właśnie
all
polegają
these
te
teachings
wszystkie
are about.
nauki.
Coming to
Dojście do
mature,
dojrzałości
to the next
następnego
level,
poziomu,
to understand
aby zrozumieć
deep
daleki
space,
kosmos.
the
Wszechświat jest
universe,
ostrygą
is the
dla tych
oyster
dusz,
for
które
those souls
służą.
who serve. Then
Wtedy człowiek jest gotowy do wejścia w kosmos. Wtedy człowiek jest gotowy, aby stać się częścią uniwersalnej społeczności, która została obiecana. Nigdy nie obiecywałem wam nieba. Zawsze obiecywałem wam elewację człowieka, aby przyłączył się do rodziny. A teraz macie klucz. To wy musicie otworzyć drzwi, aby zrozumieć, że mogę elewować duszę tych ludzi lub milionów innych dusz, że fizyczne życie na tej planecie zmieni się. Wtedy jestem godny bycia częścią społeczności uniwersalnej, by być, aby służyć, aby się rozwijać, by być tam, aby być częścią, że w cyklu życia wszechświata staje się w byciu częścią, staje się częścią totalności. Kiedy człowiek osiągnie ten punkt, pojawi się nowy wymiar w sile duszy człowieka, który jest poza wyobrażeniem zrozumienia życia fizycznego. To jest brama do otwarcia nowego życia w nowym wymiarze, co jest poza wyobrażeniem tego, co mogliście nazwać nowym początkiem, nowym cyklem, gdzie ten cykl niesie ze sobą źródło stworzenia życia we wszechświecie i unikosie. To jest elewacja duszy, aby służyć. Stała się kluczem. Nie tron życia fizycznego. Czas jest odpowiedni, nadszedł czas, aby człowiek przeszedł przez ten proces.